Welcome to the Redefining Teaching series. This one is on divergent thinking, pre-activities and activities. Divergent thinking is a style of thinking whose purpose is to generate as many ideas as possible relating to a central prompt, problem, or question. The process is free-flowing and nonlinear and is meant to generate ideas that are wild, fanciful, wrong, and lead in various directions. It sparks curiosity and creativity in thinking and encourages the thinker to really explore the possibilities. This process of thinking values quantity of ideas over quality and can lead to more innovative and deeper thinking. The concept behind divergent thinking is that thinkers in small groups are presented with a statement or problem. Then they generate as many questions, ideas, solutions, etc. related to that statement or problem as they possibly can in the given time. The more ideas, the better. It doesn't matter how outlandish the idea, it needs to be recorded because these outlandish ideas can lead others to expand their thinking. In previous videos, we did an overview and looked at creating a prompt. In this one, however, we're going to look at actually how to deliver one of these activities. Here's the flow of a divergent thinking activity. The class is presented with an open-ended question, prompt, issue, problem, etc. Then the students are given time to think and write down their own ideas as an individual. This allows the students to think a little bit on their own without having their ideas influenced by other people. Next, they're put into small groups, around 5 students. Ask the students to generate as many unique ideas as they can. This can be done in a number of ways, either with one student acting as the scribe and writes down all of the questions, or each student writing their own in a collaborative document, such as in Google Docs or a brainstorming application. The students can then work with these ideas to narrow them down and find the best option, should you choose to go that direction. Whatever the flow or adaptation you choose, remember, divergent thinking values collaboration, quality over quantity, any idea, no limits, and it appreciates the strange and the out there. Divergent thinking also asks that the instructor supports the strange and defers criticism and judgment during this process. Your goal is to get as many ideas as possible, and that's not going to happen if you start redirecting the students. In order for your activity to achieve the desired goal, you must set some expectations. The students have to believe that you value all ideas and that you're encouraging them to be out there or out of the box or whatever term you choose to use. Make sure to discuss this with them in detail. Get them to understand the benefit of this type of free-form thinking. It's going to be uncomfortable for some of them, so this is a really important part of the process. As I said earlier, students can sometimes feel that the professor is still looking for that quote-unquote right answer, and it's your job to make sure that they know that there is no right answer, that we want the out there. Before using divergent thinking activities, I'd recommend running a pre-activity to get the students comfortable with this type of thinking. These pre-activities are recommended to familiarize the students with divergent thinking practices before you do an actual course-related activity. They're not meant to take long, maybe 10 to 15 minutes. To the right is an example of a quick activity. In this one, you'll use a shape as a prompt. Then students follow the same flow on the previous slide to think on their own about what they can create out of this shape. Then they get together in a team and share ideas as a group and then generate more ideas. This activity gets the juices and ideas flowing in a non-threatening context and familiarizes them with the creative process. Also on this slide, I've given you 3 different resources of great pre-activities that you can use to sort of spark this type of thinking and get your students comfortable with working together in this type of way. Once you nail down a pre-activity, it's time to create your main activity or activities. At its base, most of these activities are some form of brainstorming. What makes them different is the way students are encouraged to explore ideas. I'm going to show you a few here, but if you search the web, you'll find tons of other phenomenal ideas. Scamper is a brainstorming technique you can use to guide the brainstorming. If you watched the video on creating a prompt, you may remember this. It can be used to create a focused prompt, but in this case, you can also use it to focus the student's thinking. You can choose one for the focus of the activity or guide them through several of the letters. So for example, you may say, take the next 10 minutes to think about and record alternatives to materials, processes, methods you're already using or doing. Then, after that, take another 10 minutes to ask them to think about and record how they can move around materials, methods, steps, and processes to solve a problem. You'll see here that while it was one statement or one prompt, we can focus that prompt in multiple directions. The Give One, Get One is based around the concept that sharing ideas makes you think more deeply. In this activity, the students are given the prompt, and individually they come up with as many ideas as they can during the allotted time. Now, this is different in what we saw in the initial flow because they're generating these ideas completely on their own. Then, instead of getting into a small group, they move around the room and connect with another student to give a unique idea and to get a unique idea from that student. They continue on sharing with other individuals during the allotted time. If the partnership can't come up with a unique idea, then together they have to brainstorm to think of one on the fly. At the end of the time, each student should have an amazing list of ideas. The question formulation technique. This technique is my favorite. It involves the students generating questions rather than ideas, and it's just a different way of thinking. It's actually a perfect way to kick off even a research project or anything where the students are going to have to delve deeper into a topic. First thing they do is they're given the question focus. Now in this case, it isn't necessarily a prompt, it's more of a statement. Then they're given an allotted amount of time to produce as many questions as they can. After that time is done, then they have to go through their questions and improve them. They'll flag them to say, is the question an open-ended question or a closed question? No judgment, just which one is it? And then they need to look at the question and think, should it be open-ended if it's closed, and should it be closed if it's open-ended? And improve those questions. Next, they strategize and they prioritize their questions. While normally the gist is that you prioritize the entire list of questions with the questions that we think are the most important at the top, normally students will only get through their top 10 because they can generate quite a few questions depending on the group size in a small amount of time. Lastly, they then will reflect on those top 5 or 10 questions. What did they learn? Why did they go in this direction? Why did they choose these as their top 5? This is a starter activity. What they do then with those top 5 or top 10 questions is up to you in the direction you would like to take your class. You can learn more about this activity at the link at the bottom of this slide. Whatever activity variety you choose, I hope that you now have what you need to get started encouraging some divergent thinking in your teaching. As always, in the description for this video, you'll find this presentation that contains all the live links and resources that I've discussed here.